Hey there guys, welcome back to ARTFX Studios. Today I'm going to show you how waveshaping works. Waveshaping is a really useful type of distortion, and I'm going to explain to you why this is so important and why it works so well. I've got a C note right here played by operator, simple C sine wave, and I've got the image line Waveshaper right here. The horizontal axis of the Waveshaper is the input volume. The vertical axis is the output volume. So if I bring this one down, that means that I'm essentially bringing the output volume down. So if I set this to halfway, we now have half the volume. I've got three knobs right down here. The pre is the input volume. The mix blends between the distorted signal and the non-distorted signal. So if I would do that, and that's what it does. And post is just an output volume knob. I just like it like that. So we also have this. This is a switch between unipolar and bipolar mode. Now, when you look at the waveform, we have this middle line. Everything above the middle line is positive, and everything below the middle line is negative. When we look at the waveform, we can see that we have both a positive phase and a negative phase. If I distort this, right now it's affecting both the positive and the negative side of the waveform, as you can see. In bipolar mode, we get two different types. So I can set both of them the same, and now we get this. So now you can sort of like see what the Waveshaper is doing. Right? So let me switch back to the default setting. There are a couple of different distortion types that are really commonly used in distortion and saturation plugins, for instance. The first one I want to talk about is soft clipping. Soft clipping is created when you take one point, and I have snap turned on right here, so my points are snapping to this grid. I'm gonna set one right there, and I'm gonna bring this one down to about there, and now I'm gonna make this a slight curve. What we can now see is our sine wave gets rounded off on the peaks of the sine, as you can see. This creates really slight distortion. It's not that audible, it's just there to warm up your sound. Now there's also another form of distortion, which is really much like soft clipping, just a little bit harsher. You would make it like that. So we get sort of like a rounded square kind of shape. There's also digital clipping. Now digital clipping is just nothing more than that. No slope whatsoever. It sounds pretty fuzzy. But it's all there to warm up your sound. Now, there's also crossover distortion. Crossover distortion is actually the same thing, but then it happens around here. So the distortion is actually gonna distort not the peaks of the sine wave that we have, but the areas around this zero crossing line right here. So right now we have our plane sine, and when I start to distort this, now we get crossover distortion. So we could do that, or it's still really subtle, but it definitely works, and it's a really interesting way of distortion. Now, we could combine these two. I can say, for instance, I want soft clipping right here. Let's just do a little bit more drastic soft clipping, like that. And I want crossover distortion around here. Let's do that. So that's pretty interesting. Now, let's see how this works on a saw wave. I'm gonna use a saw wave for this. So that is our saw wave. There we have the saw wave. And let's see what we can do. Let's add some digital clipping to this. Now we've turned the saw wave into a square wave. Now we could also do something like that. We do get some artifacts around that area right there. It's not really a problem for now, because I wouldn't really recommend creating something like this anyway. But, you know, it's pretty interesting. So, if we have that saw wave, or let's just go back to the sine wave, there's some other types of distortion that you can create with this, because you have these obvious soft saturation. We can saturate this just like that. That's just saturation. We have saturation, soft clipping, hard clipping, digital clipping, but there's so many different types of distortion we could create with this. For instance, if I go to here, we can create a double curve. And right here you can really see what is going on with the waveform. So we're really shaping that waveform to form this kind of shape. Now, we also have these alternate single curves. They give a slightly different curve. Pretty interesting as well. And a double curve. Now we also have stairs. This pretty much sounds like bit reduction. Listen. It is not exactly bit reduction, but it sounds pretty much like it. We also have a smooth stairs, which is basically the same thing, but then they're a little bit rounded off around the edges. It gives a little bit more smooth sound to it. Now we also have a pulse, and pulse is pretty interesting. We can squarify this sound, like over that. You can see that clear pulse kind of shape, but we can add more pulses to this. doing that. And you can see we can create really interesting wave shapes using these techniques. Now, let's see, we've also got the wave, triangle, and the sine on the other side. So this basically adds that sine wave kind of shape to it. Then we also have a half sine. And we have smooth, which is just really a really tiny curve. If I set this to the wave one, and let's do it like that. The pre-input gain now determines the width of this particular area. Listen. Is almost like pulse width modulation. It could be seen as some kind of pulse width modulation. If I look at the waveform, I can clearly see what's going on. You can change the amount of sine waves that are being added by turning this up. And that's about it. That's how it works. Now, we can create so many different shapes with this. For instance, I can create some pretty harsh distortion doing something like this. So that's how waveshaping works, and you can create really countless of effects. If you like this video, then please come to my website or go to my social media profiles, like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do, and I'll keep you up to date with everything I do. If you like this, then subscribe to this channel. I'm gonna do a lot more videos in the upcoming weeks. I have actually decided to do an uploading schedule from now on. I've got a schedule made, and in that schedule I'm going to try to do a video every single day. I've never tried it before, but I'm gonna try and do that. I'm also looking into doing live streaming. It's taking some time to get that done, and that is because my current setup doesn't really allow me to do live streaming, and I have some difficulties getting it all set up. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to get that done. And yeah, other than that, I hope to see you back tomorrow. Peace.